Well, welcome everyone to the fourth Charging Smart cohort session. I'll be going over the education and incentives category, so we can just dive right in. Okay, the agenda for today will consist of first me reviewing the cohort structure and timeline again, and then I'll give some updates on our end, and then I'll ask for some updates from y'all. And then I'll go over the bronze designation requirements and the education incentives category, along with some good examples. And then that will be followed by a quick group discussion. And then we'll talk about the homework assignment and the next session, because I am changing the date of the next session again. So sorry about that. Okay, so we have already gone through 3 cohort sessions. Today's our 4th, and the last one will be early July, I'm thinking. And that will go over the last 2 categories within the program. So that's government operations and shared mobility. Okay, some of our updates. There is an encore evolution session on June 17th. That is here in Arlington at the Arlington Service Center. Technically it's in Pantago, but it's super close. And that will run from 9:15 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. I'll actually be there. So if y'all could come to meet me in person, that would be super cool. And also, of course, to complete y'all's required bronze action to meet with your utilities. That would be great as well. And then in other news, we will be hosting a Charging Smart designation celebration for all the designees. That will occur probably in November or December. We're thinking of hosting that celebration in at the same celebration of the Fleet Recognition Awards. So that will that'll be so y'all can be celebrated, and also so y'all can have bragging rights in front of the other cities. But of course, we would love to give credit where credit is due. So that's kind of what we're thinking right now. Of course, we haven't made any official plans yet. There's a few months in between now and then. So that should give y'all some good time to finish up your scorecards so we can send those into IREC for them to review and to get y'all designated. In other news, we have been drafting an EV charging electricity plans webpage that will soon be available on our DFW Clean Cities website. The whole idea behind that webpage is so y'all can link that webpage on your own city's website, so y'all can get the points for E2.2, which is promoting EV programs that utilities offer. Basically, the information on that webpage is all about the EV charging electricity plans that retail electric providers may have. And so that'll be a good resource for your city residents to know what EV incentives may apply to them. And then lastly, sorry, my light was turning off. Anyways, lastly, I am still working on the local resources document that will soon be available in both the Google folder and the Teams channel. That document is basically where I house both general information and local examples of various criteria actions for each category. So this has been a long time in the making, but hopefully we can get it finalized and pristine for y'all. And so both of those 2 resources I'll send out in an email, and they'll be available on both platforms. And also in other news, we do have a new member. His name is Daniel. So thank you, Daniel, for joining the cohort. He is taking over for Manjul for the city of Midlothian. So thank you, Daniel, for coming, and it's very exciting to have you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So now on to some peer updates. If y'all could just share with the group kind of what updates what updates y'all have had on your progress since the last cohort session. That would be awesome. So I think I will just call on who I see first. Santasha, would you like to share?
We haven't had a whole lot of updates per se. I've been compiling documents and I know I'm a little slow at it, apologies, but I'm trying to do more of a kind of comprehensive approach and meet with our departments that are kind of integral and intertwined in the whole EV charging process for our city. And that includes planning and zoning, just kind of because some of the documents that I'm going to need, I need their input for that. And if there's things that need to be strengthened, I'm waiting to meet with some of those individuals so that we can talk about that and get those into place so that I can just give you one big package.
Absolutely, that sounds great. So you said you're meeting with your planning and zoning department. Is that for some of the criteria actions on
Yes.
the planning category?
Mm-hmm. And then we
Okay,
have our fleet. There's some things in there that's related to how, fleet man, I saw the inventory and things like that. And I just wanted to get them on board. And it's audit season, so I've kind of been pulled away for that, but I'm working on it.
absolutely, that sounds great.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for all your work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I, okay, Cindy Mendez, would you like to share?
Um, can you hear me? I didn't
Yes.
realize I wasn't on mute. Okay. Actually, Colby is on the call and he'll give the updates for Grand Prairie.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
You would just jump right in there.
Mhm.
Okay, so as far as progress on the charting smart and scorecard and everything, I have nothing new to report. I think I'm gonna probably meet with Cindy and her team and see if there's anything we can do to make any progress. But we are working on opening up some of our private charging stations. I'm meeting tomorrow to open those up to the public and see if that's something we can do to increase public availability. Um, but other than that, I don't have any other news other than last time.
No worries. I know how busy y'all can get. So you mentioned that you're opening up new charging station locations?
So we have four that were in our emergency operations center, which were public, but they were behind a gate and weren't set up to authorize for, public to do like credit card transactions and such. So we're actually meeting with them tomorrow because they want to make those available for people to use. So hopefully we'll have they were technically already public, but they weren't truly. So we're trying to increase accessibility to those.
Okay, awesome. That's super cool. And I remember seeing something on y'all's website. It was about having charging stations that were powered by solar. Are those the same charging stations or are they different
No,
ones?
no, those are different. Those are up near our city hall by the our training location. And that's all Cindy and her team. They actually procured those beam solar chargers and they're actually up and running right now, I believe.
That's awesome. That's super exciting. Um, well, along with getting points for just having publicly available charging stations, you can also get points for having them being powered by solar. So that's really good. That would be a good thing to add for on your scorecard if you have a link towards any proof of that, or you can provide pictures or a link to like an article that came out. Um, Anyways, that's really exciting. So thank you for sharing. Okay. Tanner Corsi.
Hey, good morning. I'll share my screen really quickly if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So we are making progress, which feels good. So far, we've submitted tasks totaling 60 points. And we just have two of the required tasks remaining. The zoning review, which you have helped out with. So thank you, Carolyn and team, for that. That is back in the hands of our planning department to make sure they don't have any comments or anything that they want to edit. And then I am waiting on our director to concur and sign off on that document. So I'm meeting with them tomorrow to talk through any questions they might have. Similarly, we have the charging infrastructure permit application process. So we had a first attempt at that, and then we're still working to kind of flesh that completely out to make sure that it's the best possible document for our citizens and developers. And then just working on some of the other required tasks. So the community-wide EV vision to get our 10 points for planning. That's written. I just need to get approval from up to our city manager's office. And then education and incentives, working with our Office of Communications to create a new web page. So I've already met with them, just need to get kind of some, whatever the fluff is that's going to be on that site. And then along with that, to get another 5 points for the 15 minimum is the map for the available chargers. So other exciting updates is, and I think some of y'all on this call know, at least on the COG staff, I was pushing really hard for transition or a pilot on our quasi paratransit service to get an EV bus to pilot. And we have allocated funds for that with our 5307 and 5310 FTA ask, as well as dedicated charging infrastructure for that bus. So we put that into our POP and are really hopeful that we will secure those funds and start to roll out some new EVs in our own fleet.
That is super exciting. That's awesome. So it looks like y'all are almost across the finish line, and you're also doing some work in shared mobility, which I haven't seen anyone do yet because it's more of not really like an optional category, but there are no required actions from that category. So I think you mentioned the FTA funds. Is that the low or no? I think the colloquial term is like the low or no grant.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
No, so we actually programmed through our general formula funds with 5307 and 5310 ask this year. After some back and forth with some of the other COG staff, we realized that there were opportunities to do that. We had some remaining expiring TDCs, so we were actually able to fund the entire project without any actual local cash, which if anybody's in Tarrant County, you know that the next couple of years for all of us, I think is going to be a little tight. So being able to find some creative solutions, super thankful for the COG staff for helping us with all of that. And so, yeah, there's definitely ways to kind of keep moving these things along. And COG staff are great resources to kind of help. I know Jared and Lori and others on y'all's team were also providing information as we were looking at co-locating like battery storage and solar on those EV chargers for our fleet. So yeah, don't forget to use the COG staff because they're a great wealth of knowledge. So we really appreciate y'all.
Well, I'm so glad that my team could help with anything.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then with the zoning review memo, have you heard any feedback from the planning department yet?
Yeah, we have her title. I think she's planner. We met last week and went through the document. And so we used it more as kind of a roadmap for the future and taking a look at maybe where y'all had identified some deficiencies or areas where we were not meeting best practice. And so again, just kind of had the conversation of, okay, we can check some boxes and just get our points to move towards certification, or we can kind of really take a look at this holistically and think, you know, what can we do that's actually going to be beneficial for the citizens and for our developers and you know, the purpose of the program. So she was just going to go back, make sure that there weren't any of the topics that she might disagree with or have comments on. And then after that, taking it to our Director of Planning and Development Services, making sure she concurs with everything that was in the memo, and then just getting final sign off on that. So we were actually, I'll share, we were both really shocked at how thorough the document was. So we're really appreciative of that. We both think it'll be kind of a great tool to use as we look to the future and kind of what is, I don't want to say restrictive because we don't really say a lot about EVs currently in our UDC, but maybe where we can add clarification and just make sure that our developers and those looking to do development in the city, it's very clear what our UDC states and what rights they have for development.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, the zoning review memo is just to point out what language is included and what's not. So of course, for bronze, no one has to actually really change their zoning code, but I think for silver and gold, it would require changes to the zoning code. Okay, well, awesome. That sounds like y'all been doing a lot of great stuff. So thank you for all your work.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Melissa, would you like to share?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. I know sometimes I have a little problem with Teams, so I'm glad that today works. Since we've last met, we actually hosted our Colorpalooza event, of which we did have the education, some of the education requirements met for that one. We actually had a couple of our fleet vehicles out and on display so that people could walk around and look at them, and then had a couple of posters out that explained incentives that folks could get for both EVs themselves and EV charging stations. So answered a few questions to people from that one, and I uploaded some photos of the event that showed, you know, the vehicles out there and people actually reading the posters. So that was exciting, and getting to talk with them about that. So that is primarily where we have completed, is that education incentives portion of it. I think that we're probably still working on some of the other things. Knowing that you're reading through zoning requirements and whatnot, I'm sure that will be one of our next steps to submit to you guys. The only other question I had for you is that we do already have charging stations that are publicly available, and also we have electrified quite a few vehicles in our fleet. And I was just trying to figure out the verification process on that. Would that be best served by like photographing some of those as part of the verification documents, or do you guys need something more specifically like invoices or whatnot for that kind of requirement? I just wasn't sure how to verify that for you guys.
Absolutely. I think photos work and invoices work as well.
Okay.
As long as the photos kind of show that the city of Louisville is the owner of those EVs and those EV charging stations.
Okay.
I think that would be good as well.
Okay.
But any paperwork is welcome too. So invoices or anything to show proof of purchase.
Okay.
I think all that would be sufficient. But you can
Okay.
always send them over to me through email or something, and I can double check if you'd like a second opinion. Yeah.
Well, I know that the vehicles are obviously logoed with City of Louisville, so that wouldn't be a problem, but the charging stations might be a bit difficult. So it could have to be like a far out photo showing, hey, it's right by our City Hall building versus, you know, a close up photo. So I'll do my best and send them to you.
Okay, yeah. I think the vehicles, those should be good, but you may want to provide like specific documentation for the EV charging stations.
Okay.
And then also providing the exact location of that infrastructure would be helpful as well.
Yep.
Yeah, other than that, that sounds awesome. And the Colorpalooza event, that sounds super fun. If
Yeah.
you have pictures that you could share, that would be great. And also, I think pictures would be a good verification documentation to
Those
include
are
in
in
this.
there.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome,
those are
awesome,
in there for it. So
awesome. Okay, well, I can't wait to take a look.
yep.
Um, okay, well, thank you for sharing. I think that is everyone for now, so I'll just move on. Um, okay. So now on to the bronze designation point breakdown. Y'all have seen this a ton of times, so I'll be quick. Of course, we've gone over the prerequisites, but now we're going
Oh,
over
Carolyn, you're not sharing your screen. Or I don't see it at least.
Sorry, I forgot to reshare. Okay, I was just talking into the void for a second. Anyways, so y'all can see my screen now. So for this category that we're going over today, it's the education and incentives category. And for this category, you need 15 points from any criteria of your choosing. So that generally means 2 to 3 actions, depending on those, what points are attributed to which criteria actions. Yeah. Okay, this whole category focuses on raising awareness and providing accessible information to support EV adoption, particularly to your city's residents. Yeah, residents. Some actions, some example actions could include hosting public education events and campaigns, like Louisville's Colorpalooza event recently. You could also create an EV landing page on your city's website, which I know a few of y'all have done. You could also provide EV and EV charger education to commercial property owners, as well as offering financial incentives for charging infrastructure installation or purchasing EVs. Those last two are a little bit less popular, but those are just options that I wanted to include. Okay, so this first action that we're going over is E2.1, and that is creating a specific page on your website that includes information about EVs. And this is for 5 points. So for this one, you'll launch a dedicated web page that consolidates all your available local EV information and resources to educate audiences on topics like charging basics, policy news and goals, infrastructure locations / maps, purchasing incentives, and vehicle options. And I would like to specify that this webpage doesn't have to be labeled electric vehicle charging. It could be under something more general like transportation sustainability. Because I know a few questions have come up like, hey, does this count? It's not specifically in EV charging webpage, but yes, it does count as long as you have all that information about EVs and EV incentives consolidated in one webpage. So this is for 5 points. I always recommended this criteria action. I think it's a great option. And here is an example. This is coming out of Tucson, Arizona. This is just a screenshot I got from their webpage. So here they have a little video of their EV bus. Here they talk about some of the benefits of electric vehicles. And then down in this right-hand corner, they talk about some of their SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based goals of what their city government is trying to implement in Tucson. So I thought that was a good example. The next action that you could choose is adding or linking to a map of publicly available chargers in the area. This is also a pretty easy one because you just need to either embed a map or give a list of all your charging stations in the area. But for this one, you will just leverage whatever web resources you have to give your residents a layout of all the available EV charging stations in their area. So this could mean a static map or a more dynamic locator tool. And this is so residents can identify charging station locations along with their status availability and the equipment specifications. And I'll have a few examples here. So I'm bringing this back from Tucson, Arizona again. This is also on their city's webpage, which would be a good idea. So if you already have an EV webpage, you could also include a map of all the available charging stations on that same page under the benefits and all the other information that you provide. So here I forgot what everything meant, but I think these green charging stations, as opposed to the orange ones, I think that might attribute information to the level of charging. Yes, Melissa?
So it looks like they just link the PlugShare app for that one. Is that
Mhm.
something that we can do as well, or does it have to be specific to our municipality or our location?
Yeah, I think that would work as long as it's zoomed in enough and it's not just like the entire continental US. But I know what you're saying. You can absolutely use um the PlugShare tool. Um and I think there is a way to embed that tool on your city's webpage so that it's not just like a static map that you have. Um and then another good example is uh, is the DOE's alternative fueling station locator, which is a tool that has this very convenient embed feature. So if you have like a tech person on your team or an IT person, they can probably work on the coding that needs to happen to embed this tool on your city's website. Um, But yeah, for this one, I just went to the AFDC website and then the station locator tool. And then I filtered everything to be to have all the stations within Texas. And then the fueling type to be electric, both DC fast and level 2. And then of course, everything should be publicly accessible. Um, yeah. Colby?
Yes, so I just had an idea. I mean, maybe not relevant to our scoring points here, but if you have a EV charging station map, it would be on your city website. It would be for us. I know it would be really beneficial to have a citizen feedback comment thing there, just to see where people want to see chargers, because that's the biggest thing we have is we have everybody telling us, you know, where they'd like to see chargers from a leadership perspective and from outside sources, but we get very little feedback from our citizens and visitors about where they'd like to see EV charging. So I know if we do this, that's something we'd probably really push. You know, have a section at the bottom, maybe where would you like to see EV charging?
Absolutely, that would be a great idea. And you can also see feedback on um, where people want EV charging stations in Grand Prairie on, oh, let me admit someone, on TxDOT's Nevi interactive map. Jared, could
Yeah,
you link
we
the,
we had
yeah?
seen that, and then we just there wasn't. I I think it just combining the data sources, you know, because I don't think we saw very much. You know, we saw one or two small requests through there, but never. Maybe not as many.
Yeah, and that's something we're trying to push. I'll put the link to that one in the chat. It sounds like you're familiar with it, Kobe. I think we might have talked about it before when we were talking about our upcoming charging station programs. But yeah, for everyone else's benefit, TxDOT has a map that they're using for the implementation of the state formula funding for the NEVI program. And on that map, anyone can zoom in anywhere on the state and leave a comment, say, I want a charging station here, or buy this business or this gym would be great. And so we've been looking at that data. Actually, Carolyn's been doing a lot of that, and we'll be using that to inform where we're going to have charging stations with some of our projects. That'll be part of our public engagement kind of scoring criteria for when we're looking at projects, but it's open to everyone. So, if that's something y'all are interested in, you could push that to your communities. It's something we'll be asking y'all to do as part of our projects anyway. But that's somewhere y'all can look and see, oh, who's left comments in my city, in my area, where do they want charging stations? So I'll put a link to that in the chat, but that might be helpful for y'all. But Kobe, I agree. I think having an open comment field could be good as well. It's something we have on our webpage for the same project, is just an open box for some people to say, wherever they want to see charging stations, just a little more freeform responses.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That would be a great idea. It's always good to get feedback from your residents to see how you can best help them. Okay, any other questions about this action or maps or anything like that? Okay. I will move on to our last example criteria action for this cohort session. This is a super easy one, and we already have a ton of resources available. This linked in this slideshow, so I'll show that a little bit later. But for this criteria action, you'll just promote state and federal incentives, and this is for 5 points. So hypothetically, if you complete all 3 of the actions that I've talked about today, that would be sufficient for this category requirement. Anyways, so for this action, you'll just link state and federal EV incentives to residences and businesses on your city's EV webpage. So this could include tax credits or rebates for EV purchases or charging stations. And this is just to promote efforts that aim to increase awareness and utilization of those available incentives. I know there has been some uncertainty of the future of whether or not we'll have these, but as of now, they are still available, so we're going to promote them as such. So here's an example. This is from the website of the city of Alexandria, Virginia. They include a ton of things under this highlights section, but they include specifically federal tax credits for EVs and chargers, and they also include EV charging programs and incentives from their utility. And here are some examples coming from NCTCOG. So we have our NCTCOG air quality funding page where you can see funding for consumer alternative fuel vehicle and infrastructure purchases, as well as fleet vehicles and alternative fuel infrastructure, as well as clean energy and energy efficiency projects. Along with that, we have a lot of resources from the AFDC website, of course. So here you can view state incentives through this link, and you can view federal incentives through this link for various tax credits for EV, electric vehicles and charging infrastructure. And that is about it. These are just my resources page where I kind of combine all the resources together. A lot of these are local or regional resources, and then a lot of them are also included on in the program guide. But I just wanted to point that out. Okay, now for some group discussion. Do y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns? And is there any commentary so far that y'all would like to speak to?
I have a quick question for you, Carolyn.
Mhm.
Is there a target date that we're supposed to be looking for to complete all of our tasks? And I apologize if you've already answered this before, but just so we're aware of when we need to have everything completed by.
Absolutely, yeah. I think because we're having the Charging Smart celebration in either November or December, I think it would be great to have your scorecard finished by October to give IREC about a month to verify everything and go through that process. Of course, the sooner the better. I didn't say it at the beginning of the cohort series, but maybe I should have. But the ideal end date for having everything done should be like the end of the cohort. That was kind of the idea. But we have extra time, and I know y'all can get super busy. So hopefully that provides y'all a few extra months to kind of finish things up. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay. And also for additional technical assistance, I'm always here, and I have access to IREC's technical assistance as well. And I know I've been doing zoning review memos for a few cities, so I would like to kind of bring attention to that again. because that's open to any city. So please email me or just tell me, and I would happily finish that for y'all.
Hey, Carolyn, it's Tanner. I have a question.
Mhm.
Looking to the future, what does the next designation level or work towards that look like? So I think we're all working on bronze here, but should we want to continue that work, what does that next stage look like?
Yeah, so the next stage here, let me. So of course, the next stage is silver. I haven't looked at the silver requirements in a while, but I know they're in this lengthy program guide. Okay, there are 3 required criteria. Overall, you need 150 total points. So that is 70 points in addition to the 80 points that you're getting from bronze.
Will there be like a structured another cohort series, or is it then just upon all of us to kind of take what we've completed through bronze and then work maybe directly with IREC for the next level of certification?
That would probably be the next steps. We're not going to have another cohort because our contract technically ends in September. But we do plan on continuing technical assistance for the cities who are already involved in the program to get them towards designation. But yeah, I think for silver, you can still reach out for technical assistance to me or to IREC. But as of now, the future is kind of uncertain. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you,
No,
but
that's okay.
but we're going to try and help you through this process as much as we can.
Sure. Yeah, I know there's just a lot of wait and see right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to kind of add on to that a little bit, so kind of that goes to your question too, Melissa. Yeah, if y'all are looking to complete anything, I'd say yeah, by the end of September, or Carolyn mentioned try to get things submitted around October. I think those are great dates to kind of shoot for because that's when our contract ends with IREC. So we can help y'all out probably easier more up until then, and then after that, we'll still be available for assistance. We're not just gonna like not respond or just put y'all off to IREC. We'll still be here to help, but it'll be easier for us to help y'all out a little more heavy-handed up until that point. So just so y'all have that full transparency of when our contract ends, and then afterwards, yeah, we'll still be around. So we're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
In the Charging Smart designations, I think I could be completely misremembering, but I feel like I sat through a webinar that was hosted by IREC, and they said they were fully funded through sometime in 2026. So the program is expected to still continue past y'all's contract time. Hopefully, I guess is that the understanding y'all still have too, that the program will still at least exist through sometime in 2026.
Yes, yeah,
Absolutely.
they
Yeah.
just opened another funding round actually. So we didn't take part in that because we weren't a new. It is really for new regions, but IREC will still be around. Yeah, there's no concerns at this point up to that point of 2026 of the program continuing.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll keep pushing then.
Okay, awesome. Um, are there any other questions, comments? Okay. If not, the next steps. Okay, basically the homework for this cohort session is just to continue on what everyone is doing, continue that progress. Of course, reach out to me if you have any questions or comments or anything. And then the next cohort session, I'm thinking, okay, so as of right now, the next cohort session is at the end of this month, but I feel like that's not enough time for y'all. I want to give y'all about a full month between cohort sessions. So I'm thinking maybe a month from now would be Wednesday, July 2nd at 2 a.m. That's kind of the first option. And then the second option is July 3rd at 11 a.m. So how do y'all feel about July 2nd at 10 a.m.? Y'all could give like a thumbs up or something like that. Okay. Thumbs up from Melissa. Thank you. Okay, awesome. I'm seeing a few thumbs up. So if no one else objects, I'll change the current time to July 2nd at 10 a.m. Okay. That is the end of the cohort session. So I'll give y'all 17 minutes back of your time. And thank you everyone for coming. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn and Jared.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
y'all. Y'all have
Bye.
a good one.
Thank you.